In Memphis, Elon Musk is making a play to control the future of artificial intelligence. His company xAI says it has built the biggest supercomputer in the world with lightning speed.
We have a situation where there's something that is going to be far smarter than the smartest human. I think AI is one of the biggest threats.
I've been following tech for a long time, and I don't say this lightly. What Elon Musk just pulled off might be the most important thing he's ever done. And I know how that sounds, considering we're talking about the guy who gave us reusable rockets and electric cars. But this is something different. This is Colossus 2. At first, I wasn't sure what he was really doing with Twitter. Now, X. The free speech angle, the town square talk, even the idea of turning it into a finance app. It all felt like a mix of ambition and chaos. But now it's starting to make sense. He didn't just want to buy a platform. He wanted to build a loop. One where the data, the model, and the distribution all feed each other constantly. Now that xAI fully owns X, he has exactly that. A machine that watches how people behave in real time and learns from it. That's not a theory anymore, that's operational, and it changes everything. Here's what really grabbed me. The Memphis supercluster. 200,000 NVIDIA GPUs already running. Massive battery systems from Tesla backing it. A facility that came online in just 19 days, something that normally takes years. Musk built the brain, the body, and the power supply all in one move. That's wild. That's a play no one else has made. And let's be honest, no other AI lab has access to what he has now. This isn't public internet data. It's raw human behavior, real-time emotion, conflict, influence, all happening on X, and now completely owned by the same company training the AI. That means no filters, no permissions, no middlemen. That's what sets Colossus 2 apart. This system doesn't just respond, it observes. It evolves. And it's wired into how we think, speak, argue, joke, and react. If you're paying attention, it feels like the early stages of something huge. Maybe revolutionary, maybe terrifying, maybe both. Either way, Musk now owns a closed-loop intelligence engine. And I don't think the rest of the world fully understands what that means yet. Let's get into what Colossus 2 really is, and why it might be the most powerful machine ever built.
Speaking of AI, it's very important that AI be programmed with good values, especially truth-seeking values. This is, I think, essential for AI safety. Like, the most important thing we do for AI safety is to have a maximally truth-seeking AI. I can't emphasize this enough. Remember these words. We must have a maximally truth-seeking AI. And if we don't, it'll be very dangerous.
Everyone's watching the AI race, but Elon Musk just made a move that no one saw coming. While tech giants chase headlines, he's quietly assembling something far more dangerous and far more powerful. What is Musk really building behind the scenes? And why are insiders calling it the most important machine of our time?
Elon Musk's xAI has now acquired X in an all-stock transaction, values xAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion. In a post on X, Musk saying, quote, xAI and X's future are intertwined. Today, we officially take the step to combine the data, models, compute distribution, and talent. This combination will unlock immense potential. Joining us right now is Rich Greenfield. He's the co-founder and partner at Lightshed Partners. Good morning to you.
Hi.
What do you make of this? What do you think really led to it?
Well, I mean, part of me, Andrew, sort of believes that this was sort of always the plan, that this was sort of, everyone sort of wondered, like, why is Elon buying X? Like, why does he want to own Twitter? What is this really about? And I think as you look at sort of the AI arms race that is really unlike, if you look at the capital that's being spent and how intense the competition is between OpenAI and Google and Anthropic and X and Meta, this is an arms race of epic proportions. Here's Elon. He buys Twitter, has this incredible source with hundreds of millions of people creating exclusive data, information that flows through X every day. Sure, Threads exists and Blue Sky exists,
right,
but none of them have caught on.
Rich,
you're there,
I need
but
to
no one's
stop.
really
I need to stop you, just so we're on the same page and we're looking at the same set of facts. And I'm a big fan of a lot of the things that Elon has done. But let's just go backwards and go through the history of this, because you're making this out as if this was the original plan. And I just would recite to you what actually happened in reality. which was he wanted to buy X. At the time, said it was because it was a town square that he wanted to create a sort of a full town square where all sides could speak political sides. That was the original intent. And at the time also said that he thought it could become a financial services company. That's what he said publicly at that time. He then decided actually that he didn't even want Twitter at one point and actually went to court to try to avoid having to buy Twitter. So the idea that this was preordained from moment one is a little bit of a stretch, I think. Okay, then he gets it. The value drops precipitously, just what it was because of advertising and the like. And at the same time, he starts to build XAI and gives a percent of that business to the folks who owned X, in part, I think, not only because they were using the data, but as a make good for the fact that the value had dropped as much as it had. You can continue from there, but that's actually what happened.
I don't think you can dispute any of those facts. What I'm getting at, though, is a town square. Like, what was the ultimate purpose of building that town square? And we can debate whether it feels more biased one way or another. I'm sure everyone has their opinion of like what actually is happening on X. But
what do you mean? There's not a debate about it, Rich. Do you think there's a debate?
What I mean is there is still more of it. There is more dialogue that happens on X every day than what I see happening on Threads and on Blue Sky. Like
100%,
there is still
but it's not,
a much
it hasn't
more
turned out to be.
Elon Musk has just triggered what might be one of the most quietly revolutionary moments in tech. xAI, the artificial intelligence company he founded, has now officially acquired X, formerly known as Twitter, in an all-stock deal. On the surface, it looks like a high-stakes merger. But if you're paying attention, it's more than that. This is the final puzzle piece in what Musk has been building. A system with data, infrastructure, influence, and training power all fused into one self-sustaining loop. In his own words, xAI and X's future are intertwined. But let's be clear, this is about control. This is the creation of Colossus 2, a machine that learns from the real-time behavior of the world and gets smarter as it consumes us. Commentators like Rich Greenfield have called this merger inevitable, that this was always Musk's endgame. But whether or not that's true doesn't matter anymore, because what's important is what this merger enables. By owning X, Musk now controls one of the most emotionally volatile, ideologically charged, and globally active data streams in human history. That's an influence, and when you feed influence into an AI model, you're training it to predict, respond, and maybe even manipulate. We're not talking about an AI that writes poems. We're talking about a system that sees global unrest forming through hashtags. One that watches meme virality like stock prices. One that understands how outrage spreads faster than logic and how to ride that wave. That's Colossus 2. And Elon Musk is the only person who could have built it.
Look, and I say this just factually. It's not about having a political view. It hasn't turned out to be what I think the original intent was. You agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay, I just want to keep the facts, because when we started this conversation, it sort of went into this other place as if you were suggesting this was sort of the plan from moment one, and that he was the Messiah. And by the way, he may be the Messiah. I'm just saying it didn't happen that way.
I'm just saying we all were wondering, why did he want to buy it? Sure. Did he want to get out of it? And remember, we were on CNBC talking to you why he wasn't going to be able to abandon the deal, that there was no way out. But I don't think he actually wanted out as much as he wanted a much lower price.
He's actually executing exactly to plan. And so if you're investing in a stock, what you really want is a CEO to kind of stick to a plan that is well known. So we don't have to actually guess what the plan is because he puts it out on the website. Look at the master plan part 2. And if you start reading down, everything that he said he's going to do starting in 2016 is basically what it is. So let's take the first part, right? What did he say in the first part? He said, hey, listen, guys, this is 2016. We're going to build a Model 3. We're going to build a compact SUV, the Model Y. We're going to build a new kind of pickup truck. Okay, check, check, and check. Then he said, oh, by the way, we're also probably going to have to do a heavy duty truck and a high passenger density urban transport vehicles. So that's the robo-taxi thing that he's going to announce in August. Okay, check and check. And then he talks about the software and the investment in FSD and trying to get to a place where, you can just have a much higher probability that it will save you from an accident and it will keep you safe when you're driving your car, which will be a large driver of why people want to buy the cars themselves. And you can see like these FSD models. So if you're a smart capital allocator, what you actually saw was a dislocated stock price. What you saw was a plan that, by and large, he's been executing on at a strategic level. Underneath, there's the vicissitudes. What are the vicissitudes? Sometimes you overhire, you need to trim some fat. Sometimes you overspend on CapEx. Now, he spent about $1 billion of CapEx this quarter on AI infrastructure, so H100s for training. But the market saw through it because that was a reasonable amount of money to spend on training for FSD, right? So you can start to see the tale of these two reactions. The sharps looked at the capital allocation and said, okay, you missed by $2.5 billion this quarter, but that's going to create a buying opportunity because we think it's roughly mispriced. And we think it's mispriced because going back to this plan from 2016, this is all the things that we've been underwriting from $40 billion of market cap to 750, and now we're getting a 40% discount to buy back in. So I think it's a really interesting moment to just contrast and compare what sharps look at and then what the media breathlessly exaggerates. And I think what they wanted was to lionize the Meta earnings story, but the sharps rejected it. And they wanted to dump on Elon, and the sharps rejected that in size in both cases. And it's just a reminder to all of us, be very careful what you're reading. Because if you just took the headlines, you would have expected the two reactions to be exactly opposite. But when you vote with money, it's very clear and unambiguous because you actually move in the direction of accuracy. And that's what the stock market allows you to see. And I think this is a really interesting contrast and compare of sharps versus squares here.
Yeah.
The short answer is yes. The reason is that I think look, I bought Tesla in 2014 or 15. I was one of the largest owners of the convertible debt. I felt that was the best margin of safety way to bet on Tesla. It's turned out to be an enormous winner. And I really believe in what Elon is doing. I think he's the most important entrepreneur of our lifetime right now. It's taken people 15 years to embrace that they're going to be now a legitimate car company. But when I underwrote the investment, my bet was on something bigger. And I think that Elon is well past building a car company. And I think it'll take another 5 or 10 years for people to figure out what this next arc of innovation is. And what that is the deregulation of energy. If you look under the hood, utilities spend tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars a year all around the world on CapEx. They are completely regulated. They feel completely safe. They feel like they can issue debt ad nauseum. They can cause all kinds of damage to the environment or otherwise. Look at PG&E and still come away unscathed because they're protected. Except that something is happening that nobody forecasted, which is the complete bottoms-up disruption of energy. And that's the only way that this thing is going to get deregulated. It's not going to be by law or dictate. It's not going to be, a big monolithic competitor. It's going to be because every home installs hydro panels, solar panels, batteries, and then software that basically allows them to live off the grid. And then eventually pump their excess energy into battery solutions and other things that are controlled by cities and towns and governments, who then in turn will turn off their usage of peakers at a minimum, and then over time will have very different characteristics of usage from traditional utilities. That is what Tesla is powering. That is what allows it to be a multi-trillion-dollar company. So does it have the same return profile as when I bought it at what is it equivalently now, 25 or 30 bucks a share? Well, obviously not. But can it be multiples higher than where it is today? Absolutely.
The analogy that I would make is Elon basically did that equivalent. He was able to send a rocket into space, do all kinds of interesting, enormously productive, useful things for the world while in space, and then come back down and land on a boat in the middle of the ocean. The kind of technical sophistication that he has in his mind, that he's been able to apply across his companies, is second to none, quite honestly. So when we looked at Tesla, what we thought was a company at an inflection point that was as close to its version of an iPhone moment. And what I mean by that is a company that had been growing up, taking risks, and had finally found the mass market product that would unlock an enormous amount of product market fit. And that was the Model 3. And so far, what I would say is he's living up to what he has signed up for, which is to commercialize electrification, to commercialize an incredible user experience at a price point that has frankly cannibalized its competitors. And what you see in the results, in my opinion, is a company that is now maturing under all of that demand.
You also saw Elon talking about the incredible infrastructure that he's building, and one of the things that's really revolutionary about the version 12 of Tesla's full self-driving is that it's an end-to-end generative model, and it learns from watching videos, surround video, and it learns about how to drive end-to-end and using generative AI. Predict the path and the how to steer how to understand and how to steer the car. And so the technology is really revolutionary, and the work that they're doing is incredible. So I gave you two examples. A startup company that we work with called Recursion has built up a supercomputer for generating molecules, understanding proteins and generating molecules for drug discovery. The list goes on. I mean, we can go on all afternoon, and just so many different areas of people who are now recognizing that we now have software and AI model that can understand and learn almost any language. The language of English, of course, but the language of images and video and chemicals and protein and even physics, and to be able to generate almost anything. And so it's basically like machine translation. And that capability is now being deployed at scale in so many different industries. Well, Tesla is far ahead in self-driving cars. But every single car someday will have to have autonomous capability. It's safer, it's more convenient, it's more fun to drive. And in order to do that, it is now very well known, very well understood, that learning from video directly is the most effective way to train these models. We used to train based on images that are labeled. We would say, this is a car, this is a car, this is a sign, this is a road, and we would label that manually. It's incredible. And now we just put video right into the car and let the car figure it out by itself. And this technology is very similar to the technology of large language models, but it requires just an enormous training facility. And the reason for that is because the data rate of video, the amount of data of video is so high. Well, the same approach that's used for learning physics, the physical world, from videos, that is used for self-driving cars, is essentially the same AI technology used for grounding large language models to understand the world of physics.
When it comes to Tesla's impressive growth, it's not just about observing from the sidelines. For Tesla bulls and those with a keen eye for uncovering the next stock market gem, Seeking Alpha is your one-stop shop, offering the latest on Tesla, Tesla stock price targets, Tesla innovation, and everything Elon Musk. Clicking on the affiliate links in the description and making a purchase may earn our channel a commission.
So technologies that are like Sora, which is just incredible, and other technologies, VO from Google, incredible. The ability to generate video that makes sense, that are conditioned by human prompt, that needs to learn from video. And so the next generation of AIs need to be grounded in physical AI, needs to understand the physical world. And the best way to teach these AIs how the physical world behaves is through video, just watching tons and tons and tons of video. And so the combination of this multimodality training capability is going to really require a lot of computing demand in the years to come. This is a giant leap in AI, and it was designed for trillion parameter AI models. And this is, as you know, we're already at 2 trillion parameters. Model sizes are growing, about doubling every 6 months, and the amount of processing between the size of the model, the amount of data, is growing 4 times. And so the ability for these data centers to keep up with these large models really depends on the technology that we bring to them. Design also for incredibly fast inferencing. And inference used to be about recognition of things, but now inferencing, as you know, is about generation of information, generative AI. And so whenever you're talking to ChatGPT and it's generating information for you, or drawing a picture for you, or recognizing something and then drawing something for you, that generation is a brand new inferencing technology. Is really, really complicated and requires a lot of performance. And so it's air cooled, liquid cooled. You know, when people started talking about inference, generative AI didn't exist. And now generative AI is of course, is about prediction, but it's about prediction of the next token, or prediction of the next pixel, or prediction of the next frame. And all of that is complicated. And generative AI is also used for understanding in order to generate the content properly, you have to understand the context and what is called memory. And so now the memory size is incredibly large, and you have to have context memory. You have to be able to generate the next token really, really fast. It takes a whole lot of tokens to make an image. It takes a ton of tokens to make a video, and it takes a lot of tokens to be able to reason about a particular task so that it can make a plan. And so generative AI era really made inference a million times more complicated. And as you know, the number of chips that were intended for inference kind of fell by the wayside, and now people are talking about building new chips. You know, the versatility of NVIDIA's architecture makes it possible for people to continue to innovate and create these amazing new AIs. Grew throughout this quarter. These AI factories have CPUs and GPUs and really complicated memory. The systems are really complicated. And then the amount of software that it takes to build all this and run all this is incredible. And so these AI factories are essentially what we build. We build it as a holistic unit, as a holistic architecture and platform. They're creating models that are activating large language model and generative AI work all over the world. And so,
first of all, acknowledgement of achievement where it's deserved. From the moment of concept to a data center that's ready for NVIDIA to have our gear there, to the moment that we powered it on, had it all hooked up, and it did its first training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So that first part, just building a massive factory, liquid cooled, energized, permitted, in the short time that was done. I mean, that is like superhuman. Right. Yeah. And as far as I know, there's only one person in the world who could do that. You know, I mean, Elon is singular in this understanding of engineering and construction and large systems and marshaling resources. It's unbelievable. And of course, then his engineering team is extraordinary. I mean, the software team's great, the networking team's great, the infrastructure team is great. You know, Elon understands this deeply. And from the moment that we decided to go, the planning with our engineering team, our networking team, our infrastructure computing team, the software team, all of the preparation in advance, then all of the infrastructure, all of the logistics, and the amount of technology and equipment that came in on that day, NVIDIA's infrastructure and computing infrastructure and all that technology, to training, 19 days. No question that nobody slept, but first of all, 19 days is incredible. Mm-hmm. But it's also kind of nice to just take a step back and just, do you know how many days 19 days is? It's just a couple of weeks. Yeah. And the mountain of technology, if you were to see it, is unbelievable. All of the wiring and the networking, and networking NVIDIA gear is very different than networking hyperscale data centers. Okay, the number of wires that goes in one node, the back of a computer is all wires. And just getting this mountain of technology integrated and all the software, incredible. Right. Yeah. So I think what Elon and the X team did, and I'm really appreciative that he acknowledges the engineering work that we did with him and the planning work and all that stuff. But what they achieved is singular. Never been done before. Just to put in perspective, 100,000 GPUs, that's easily the fastest supercomputer on the planet as one cluster. A supercomputer that you would build would take normally 3 years to plan, and then they deliver the equipment, and it takes 1 year to get it all working. We're talking about 19 days. Everything's already working, and of course there's a whole bunch of X algorithms and X framework and X stack and things like that. And we got a ton of integration we have to do, but the planning of it was extraordinary. Just pre-planning of it to.
Do you know who else shares in pro-Tesla optimism? That would be today's sponsor, Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha is the best pro-Tesla news source on the internet. Click the affiliate link in the description below to get the latest Tesla offering, price targets, innovation, and everything Elon Musk. Link in the description for a very special offer.
First of all, to decide to do something, select the site, bring cooling to it, power, and then decide to build this 100,000 GPU supercluster, which is the largest of its kind in one unit. And then working backwards, we started planning together the date that he was going to stand everything up. And the date that he was going to stand everything up was determined, quite a few months ago. And so all of the components, all the OEMs, all the systems, all the software integration we did with their team, all the network simulation, we simulate all the network configurations. It's like we pre-staged everything as a digital twin. We pre-staged all of his supply chain. We pre-staged all of the wiring of the networking. We even set up a small version of it, kind of just a first instance of it. Ground truth, if you reference zero, system zero, before everything else showed up. So by the time that everything showed up, everything was staged, all the practicing was done, all the simulations were done, and then the massive integration. Even then, the massive integration was a monument of gargantuan teams of humanity falling over each other, wiring everything up 24/7, and within a few weeks. The clusters were up. I mean, it's really a testament to his willpower and how he's able to think through mechanical things, electrical things, and overcome what is apparently extraordinary obstacles. I mean, what was done there is the first time that a computer of that large scale has ever been done at that speed. Unless our two teams are working, from the networking team, the compute team, the software team, the training team, and the infrastructure team, the people that the electrical engineers to the software engineers all working together. Yeah, it's really quite a feat to watch. Just the tonnage of electronics that had to come together. I mean, it'd probably be worth just to measure it. I mean, it's tons and tons of equipment. It's just abnormal. Usually a supercomputer system like that, you plan it for a couple of years, from the moment that the first systems come delivered to the time that you probably submitted everything for some serious work. Don't be surprised if it's a year. I mean, that happens all the time. It's not abnormal. Now, we couldn't afford to do that, so we created, a few years ago, there was an initiative in our company that's called data center as a product. We don't sell it as a product, but we have to treat it like it's a product. Everything about planning for it and then standing it up, optimizing it, tuning it, keep it operational. The goal is that it should be, kind of like opening up your beautiful new iPhone, and you open it up and everything just kind of works. Now, of course, it's a miracle of technology making it like that, but we now have the skills to do that. And so if you're interested in a data center, you just have to give me a space and some power, some cooling, and we'll help you set it up within, call it 30 days. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. Nothing is, no laws of physics limits, but everything is going to be hard. And of course, is it worth it? Like you can't believe, to get to something that we would recognize as a computer that so easily and so able.
So XAI is going to have an incredible wealth of data that many people worry is going to be in short supply for some of the other players. So it's going to be a very interesting opportunity going forward. It has struck me that Elon Musk has amassed or created a number of companies that are themselves creating a lot of data from different angles, including biological data, Neuralink, and so forth. So he and his companies may be in the best position from a data point of view. Think about the autonomous driving miles, of course. Yes, the biological data in Neuralink. You've got X, the data that has been spewing out of X, formerly Twitter. So we've got the autonomous mobility as, yes, the largest AI project on Earth, $8 to $10 trillion in revenue in the next 5 to 10 years, half of that going to these platform companies. And then you've got, yes, the biological opportunities. We're only now unlocking the secrets. We're decoding life, health, and death. And we're also, with that knowledge and that data, using it to cure disease. And it's amazing how undervalued that part of the market is. It's been absolutely trampled by algorithms who are focused on early stage, not making a lot in the way of cash flow and so forth. But this may be one of the biggest areas of opportunity when it comes to AI, certainly the most profound in terms of curing disease.
When it comes to Tesla's impressive growth, it's not just about observing from the sidelines. For Tesla bulls and those with a keen eye for uncovering the next stock market gem, Seeking Alpha is your one-stop shop, offering the latest on Tesla, Tesla stock price targets, Tesla innovation, and everything Elon Musk. Clicking on the affiliate links in the description and making a purchase may earn our channel a commission.
I would not bet against him. And what's interesting also is this is the physical world and the digital world coming together. He's a maestro at that. Mm-hmm. A lot of the Silicon Valley born and bred innovators, they have gotten used to the digital world and viral apps and very high returns on investment with very low fixed costs. Elon is the inventor of our age, who is, I'll say, a maestro at the convergences between and among technologies. Tesla's one example. So I think he has big ideas, and I think he's motivated by what has happened at OpenAI, and probably is betting on something pointing away from OpenAI in terms of, okay, where should I place my bets, and towards what he is doing from a trust point of view, which OpenAI has just been through a transition with a lot of the so-called safety advocates leaving. So there's certainly a compare and contrast evolving there. It'll be very interesting to see. Yes, we think proprietary data at the end of the day is going to be one of the biggest competitive advantages. And yes, think of all of his companies and all of the different kinds of data, even Neuralink, there's AI around that as well. And, bringing in the human brain neural network. So, he's covering, when I think about our 5 platforms, he's touching all of them, and they're all converging, and they're all spewing out data. They have data that no one else has.
Well, today we have 5 innovation platforms evolving at the same time: robotics, energy storage, AI, and they're changing growth dynamics incredibly. Well, it means explosive growth opportunities. Autonomous taxi platforms,
Autonomous taxi platforms are going to be the convergence of 3 of these major general purpose technology platforms. Robotics, autonomous vehicles are robots, energy storage, they will be electric, and artificial intelligence. They will be powered by AI. This one opportunity, we think, in the next 5 to 10 years is going to scale to a revenue opportunity of $8 to $10 trillion from essentially nothing now. Now, for perspective, global GDP today, all of global GDP today, is not much more than $100 trillion. And here we're telling you in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see up to 10 trillion in gross revenues, with the platform companies getting half of that. If the platform companies get half of that, 4 to 5 trillion, they're probably going to be worth somewhere in the $20 to $50 trillion range. Now, that's just one example of convergence and generative AI combining to create an explosive growth opportunity.
Well, first of all, their revenues are tripling on a year-over-year basis. This company is going to grow quickly into profitability. But as we're moving towards agentic AI, so agentic AI is very high value AI, meaning we are going to be able to say to our personal assistant, let's say, a developer, develop me a marketing website for this company, and it will do it from beginning to end with just a little bit of human oversight. Compared to what we pay developers, we would not be surprised if OpenAI and others would be able to charge $1,000 to $2,000 per month once agentic AI becomes improved and becomes de rigueur, which we think is going to happen. Well, I think they're going to fill in some of the blanks that we have about when they're going to launch and how they're going to launch. So that's going to become important. It'll make it more real. And I think that the reason analysts are probably going to take what Elon is saying more seriously this time, because remember, he's been predicting autonomous in the next 2 years for the last 5 years, and I'll say we expected it last year. So, but Waymo is now out there, and more people are trying it. This is not if, it is when for Tesla. And for Tesla, it's also how quickly will they roll out? How quickly will they go national or even global with their aspirations? I think, as you know, Elon thinks in a very big way, and he has positioned Tesla to win the lion's share of this market. But do you know who else shares in pro-Tesla optimism? That would be today's sponsor, Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha is the best pro-Tesla news source on the internet. Click the affiliate link in the description below to get the latest Tesla offering, price targets, innovation, and everything Elon Musk.
This AI project is a winner-take-most project. The company that gets people from point A to point B the fastest, the safest, with as little wait time as possible, is going to win the lion's share of the market. And I think when people see what Tesla's strategy is, and put that together with the fact that, wait a minute, Waymo's already doing this, so this must be possible. We don't have to worry about that anymore. How big could this be? Well, we publish our model out there, and it's on our website. website, arc-invest.com. It's on GitHub. And you can play with the variables if you disagree with how optimistic we are, to see how big this market's going to be. It's enormous. From a revenue point of view, the platform opportunity, those hosting these networks, and Tesla will be one of those, that's a $4 to $5 trillion revenue opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years, if our research is correct. And again, it's winner take most. This is a $1 trillion plus revenue opportunity for Tesla in the next 5 years. It's a big idea.
But the building blocks of our confidence here comes from our research around these platforms. 40% compound annual rate of growth makes sense in the world of accelerated real GDP, very low inflation, and very high productivity. And the number I threw out just for autonomous taxi platforms is in that 200 trillion. It's somewhere between, alone, that one opportunity is between 20 and 50 trillion dollars.
Well, we think this is a very large market, and we believe right now the hardware side of it is probably in the $30-40 billion range. So multiply that by 8, we see the software side going to 8 times that. But over the next, between now and 2030, we think artificial intelligence is going to add more value than any of our other technology platforms. In fact, it's going to catalyze them. We talk about Tesla all the time. It actually is the biggest artificial intelligence play, we believe, right now in our portfolios. It is the largest position in our flagship portfolio, ARKK. Why is this? Because autonomous taxi platforms, we believe globally, will deliver by 2030 $8 to $10 trillion in revenue from almost zero right now. Think about that. $8 to $10 trillion in revenue is almost half of the size of the U.S. economy. We think that's a global autonomous taxi platform opportunity, and we think it's going to submit to natural geographic monopolies. Tesla certainly in the United States and perhaps elsewhere. So you're going to be surprised at seeing who's going to, many people think it's just hardware and software stocks widely advertised, but Tesla, many people think is an auto stock. We don't. We think it's much more than that, but we think it's one of the biggest AI opportunities out there. Well, we do think AI is going to be very fertile ground. We do have to pick, you do have to pick your spots. You know, we're in a moment now where you're seeing a lot of companies slap an AI into their names, and this is where active management really is important. We think that there will be very many successors, but the most important, successful companies, but the most important ones we think are going to have visionary management. I mentioned Tesla as an example, visionary management, AI and domain expertise. That should be a given. But perhaps the most important after those is large pools of high quality data that no one else has. So proprietary data. We mentioned with Tesla, it has billions upon billions of miles of real world driving data, so that it is evolving a system that will help people get from point A to point B in the quickest way and the safest way. That's really important, the safest way possible. The companies harnessing AI. So it is the users who are going to be the biggest beneficiaries in terms of very rapid productivity increases. Those that have the most sophisticated domain expertise, the best AI expertise, and critically, proprietary data that no one else has.
those will be the winners.
Tesla is the biggest AI opportunity out there. We believe Tesla is the closest auto company and closest tech company to a fully commercialized national autonomous taxi platform because of the breakthroughs in artificial intelligence that Tesla is using today in order to move towards full self-driving. If you look at our Big Ideas report, we believe that innovation is priced in the markets, both public and private, at roughly $13 trillion. And we believe that $13 trillion is going to scale at a 40% annualized rate over the next 8 years to $200 trillion by 2030. The driver of this powerful move is primarily artificial intelligence. It is catalyzing all kinds of changes in all kinds of industries. Right. One of the reasons we give our research away is we want investors to get to the right side of change.
How we maintain our conviction in this kind of forecast. And our conviction has not wavered. In fact, it's increased over the last 5 years, and the numbers have grown larger because of the breakthroughs in AI that we didn't even expect to happen this quickly. The courage of our conviction comes from our research. First principles research, white sheet of paper, how is this new world going to work? As I say, make sure, given all the creative destruction that there is going to be out there, to get on the right side of change and hang on for the ride, ignore the noise, because truth will win out and the opportunities are enormous.